to strap in and get ready. The leaders in NRL Supercoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Metrics, and Whisperer.
Hello and welcome to your Tuesday night Patreon Q&A. Brano's away, so it's just me and you tonight, Josh. How you feeling? TLT?
Good. Yeah, TLT is here. Trell Mitt, probably my favorite player in the NRL is back, which is great. But yeah, TLT, we knew there was going to be a host of players out before 4 o'clock, so nothing really too out of the ordinary. Nothing we weren't prepared for. We get some guys back. Cleary's back. Watson's back. Probably the big one, Jarrell Skelton, mate. He was 50-50 last week. Tigers took the cautious approach, and now he's just not named at all. So I'm sure we'll have plenty of questions on him tonight.
Yeah, we will do. Look, mate, let's just start hammering in. I'll get you to star any comments to come through. I appreciate the confusion between changing the times. I've got a little semi-final game, and look, if the listeners at home know me very well, we also have a little time slot at the pub after our semi-final with the boys. But yeah, let's get straight into the questions. James Wellerick, it's one straight for me. How good is the 1-2-3 punch of Arthurs, Sheba, and Goss? And can I say that at the start of the year, I was flaccid looking at that edge. I was excited about Arthurs because I thought that maybe there would be some beautiful cutout balls to Arthurs because I didn't see Sheba and Goss actually getting that involved. But I tell you what, whatever Madge has done with these three, it's worked. Arthurs, of course, a Kevy boy, and Goss not getting a run there early on. But look, Madge has brought his guys in and they're performing. So now I am stoked. You got anything on these 3 stars?
He's cooking. Madge is cooking. Like I remember we got sort of some mail like very late February that would be the left edge combination. Everyone's like, nah, absolutely rubbish. But no, they've all cooked. I mean, Goss probably has cooked the least amount out of the 3 of those, but Sheba has been an absolute revelation. And yeah, shout out to Madge for putting some wonderful coaching on them.
I love it's like, Goss has been probably the most disappointing. He's gone up 70K and has a negative break even still. So that's how much the other 2 are cooking. So
yeah.
Arthur's the number 1 center wing in the comp a week ago?
Yeah. Him in like Tuapolotu, which you could have given yourself whatever odds you wanted to for the first 3 weeks of footy.
James got another one. This one's for you, mate. If Turbo were a horse, with the amount of injuries he's had, how close is he to the glue factory? Bit of fun early on in this pod.
Yeah. Very, very morbid start to the podcast, mate. He's cool. I mean, I put up a tweet about DCE compared to Turbo. I think since DCE's debut, which was round 1, 2011, he's been eligible to be picked in 355 games, and he's played 335. So he's missed 20 in... 14 years? He's missed 20 games. Tom Trbojevic in that same time, since round 9, 2023. So what's that? Less than 2 seasons ago. Turbo has been available to be picked in 45 games and has played 25 of those, missing 20. So, the last 45 matches, he's missed 20 in DCE, the last 350. So it just shows you like how durable DCE is and how not durable Turbo is. I think I went back and looked even further. Since 2019, he's played in less than half of Manly's available games. So it's just very, very rough and sucks for him, sucks for owners. But yeah, he definitely got to sell and definitely one way to the glue factory very soon.
See, I disagree. I think with the pedigree of Turbo, he should go out to pasture just to breed. And so that we get lots of little Turbos. We've seen Manly half full with Trbojeviches. I tell you what, Manly could be on good stead if they just let Turbo sow his wild oats. So I think that's something that could be done, James. Connor's got one here, mate. Do you have a number of trades that you are looking to have available before Origin starts? It sort of comes from the fact that he feels he sees a lot of people maxing trades early. What's your opinion on this, mate?
Yeah, yes. Like, there's no like set number. Each year it changes. I think ideally for me, I always like to leave myself with like in the final 5 rounds, leave myself with like 5 trades, so 1 a week. But before then, it's like, how long's a piece of string? There's no real like correct answer. It just comes down to how your team structured. You know, some people could have max traded quite hard quite early because they've stuffed up a couple of picks. But if you had all the guys that are booming, like if you started with a Sheba, if you started with an Arthur's, like if you started with all these guys at round 1, then you're probably going to be using less trades and focusing more getting on some falling guns, whereas other people are looking to fix that cash gen. So this early in the stage of the season, like there's no right or wrong answer. I'm trying to be more cautious this year on just making trades for the sake of it, and using boosts because I've used 2 already and I don't really want to use a third this week, but people are doing it, and it's because their teams need it. There's no like correct answer. I mean, I'm not a fan of just boosting for the sake of getting players in. Like we discussed this in, I think it was round 2 with like Lockie Hubner, when people were like, "Oh, do I buy him this week?" And we're like, "Well, are you playing him?" And they're like, "Oh no, he's just going to sit on the bench." And then we're like, "Well, probably not. Like you can probably just wait." And people that waited were obviously rewarded. He was suspended for 2 weeks. So small things like that. But yeah, to give a very high level answer very quickly, like no, there's no set number in my head right now. It's just fixing up mistakes or getting on guys that we need to be getting on.
Yeah, and there's no number. I think back to David Vandergeesen, DVG, the winner of NBL. He burnt all his NBL boosts by round 8 last season when it come to NBL, and everyone thought he was crazy. But the cash gen that he did by using said boosts, and in this case, there's a lot more trades, so said trades every week. He set himself up so well to get so, and we're going back to horses, to get so far ahead by the first corner that nobody else could really catch him, because he abused the cash generation early, because those cash cows didn't come in later on in the season for whatever reason. And that's a different sport altogether. But if you're using your boosts and it's making you hundreds of thousands of dollars at the moment, then it's worth it. If you max trade and your cash gen's right up there. But yeah, you're right. You don't just trade for the sake of it because you want a certain guy in your lineup. Hey.
Yeah, and that's what I'm. So, and we'll discuss this on tomorrow's podcast. A lot of people are bringing in Jaden Campbell, and if you like Jaden Campbell, bring him in. But I'm not bringing him like, and you did it last week. You know, you had Cleary and Duffy, and a lot of people either sold Cleary to get Reynolds or Hines, or because they just wanted someone there. Whereas with this, annotation of the flex this season, we can afford to just play 17 some weeks and not make trades for the sake of bringing in a guy to fill a position. So that's my thoughts on someone like a Jaden Campbell. I love him as a player. I'm not prepared to pay $700K for him. And if, for me, Metcalf is obviously on a buy, and if Dewey's not playing this week, he drops out, then so be it. I play with 17, but I'm not going to make a forced trade for the sake of making a forced trade.
Yeah, nah, I like that, and didn't burn me. Just to touch on that, just playing the flex. Nathan Thomas is asking if it's too late to jump on Shibasaki, or do you take bottom dollar cheapie like Tom Jenkins? I mean, I think Tom Jenkins is must have, Josh. Whether you have Sheba or not, that should be one of your 2 trades. It's more the question is, do you go Shibasaki and Jenkins? And like, he probably missed the boat, didn't he?
Yeah, it's tough because like you look at a minus 50 break even, he's 410K. People are like, oh, well, there's 200K to be made, and maybe there is that worth what I would think is a boost, because I think Jenkins is more of a priority than getting him. And unless you're going Shibasaki and Jenkins and that's it, then yes, I would say he is worth it because it's just no boost needed. But if you're having to go Jenkins in, someone else in, and then boost for Shibasaki, then no, I don't think it is. As great as he's been, we have to remember who the player is. We can look at numbers, we can look at, oh, he scored this, his break even's this, but we do also have to remember the player that is attached to it. And no disrespect to Gary Shibasaki, but there was a reason why people did laugh at his name on the team list in round 1. Like, he has played fantastic, don't get me wrong, but for him to go up to 600, 650, he would have to have a sustained period of time to get that. So I think Supercoach, I'm just looking now, he would have to go 67, 69 in the next 2 weeks to get to 582. But even then, like if he goes, pretty much if he scores 67 every single week between now and round 14, he only goes up to 642, which is a 242k price rise. And that is nine weeks of scoring nearly 70 points a game, which he's just not going to do. Like, I think for 2 trades, it's fine. Not for 3. I wouldn't be bringing him in for 3.
Yep. Save those boosts, guys. James asking who is the premium 2RF to pick this week. He's looking at the likes of Crichton, Yo, Katoa, or Ola. Mate, I actually don't mind Keon as well. You probably have another week for that, but I mean, I'm probably not going Katoa without Hughes there yet. I'm not that high on the price of Crichton yet. I think Yo's been, as that first receiver in a couple games, pretty ordinary. Maybe an Ola Kuatu. What's your pick? If you had to rank them, I'd go Ola, Crichton, Katoa, Yo. So
I would probably also agree with that ranking. Looking at Manly's draw, like we know he performs much better Ola Kuatu without Turbo in the side, but you are playing Melbourne, then you're playing Cronulla, and you're playing the Dragons, which is we've seen last week can be a toughish matchup. Then you play Penrith, and then the bye, and then you have the Sharks again. So it's like you play the Sharks twice, Penrith once, Melbourne once, and Dragons, who have all been like quite really good defensively, and then a bye. So Ola Kuatu is probably the best on paper, but it's not a great run. I'm just looking at guys that have averaged the most this year. Look at guys like Preston, his average is quite inflated thanks to 1 score. He also will play 1 more game on the left before having the bye, and then Kickout will come back in. But then it sort of drops off. Like no one else is really over 70. You got Paddy Carrigan, which is very much what it says on the tin. Corey Horsburgh, you should be owning both for more. You're paying 610k for a 66 average. So yeah, probably is Angus. You probably have to wait until he bottoms out just ever so slightly more. It does have a break even this week of 78, and then it's probably going to start plateauing. So you can get Angus for probably high 6s very soon. But obviously Origin looming. I think I do know that the Roosters play 2 or if not all 3 of the major buys, but Angus being in Origin, that's not going to matter for him. So yeah, 2RF's really, really tough. That's why I've sort of just been not opposed to Holly Hopgood, because no one's really screaming a buy for me right now.
yeah, and I've just gone cheap and honestly just thrown Tino down there, and I hate having front row forwards at second row, but yeah, this year just hits differently when it comes to second rowers. So yeah, it's Ola for me, but I think Keon is an ad maybe next week, depending how he goes this week. So Lauren, we'll probably cover this in the show. But if we had to quick rapid fire, maybe the best captaincy options this week, I would probably look at a Sharks or a Panthers halfback, maybe with the VC, to maybe captain JC or a Bronco.
Yeah. And then obviously, yeah, I mean, I can't touch Kalen Ponga, not against the Dogs, who have been exceptional defensively. Me personally, I'm on Hines of EC into Cleary C. It's very, very nice to be able to do that now with the flex. You've obviously got Tedesco up against the Chooks, but the Roosters have looked very, very ordinary at times. So I'm worried there. I mean, Pappenhausen this week could be a great option, especially if Hughes is back, because you do see Hughes on the extended bench. If he's named, Pappenhausen probably will goal kick. So interesting that Pappy was kicking off the tee for kickoffs to restart the game. So I don't think goal kicking is too far away from him either, though. But yeah, we'll definitely do a deep dive more tomorrow for captaincy. But it's going to be usual suspects: Cleary, Hines, Pappy, JC. He could definitely be a shout as well.
Yeah,
I think Selwyn. I mean, maybe it's the Kobe because I own him, but Selwyn Cobbo up against Luke Lawali'i could be a worthy of a VC shout.
Hey, when I said Broncos, I was not thinking of Cobbo, so I'll give you that. Yeah, I mean, Tigers haven't been bad. I just think the Broncos have been pretty good offensively. So, mate, Tim's got who would you trade in this week out of Hines, Eli Katoa, or Marju?
Oh, I don't know. I've been so against people buying high. And it's like I say it every week because I own him and I started the season with him. But like, I'm just not keen on Nico Hines as like a buy for $775,000. Nearly 800K for Nico Hines does not give me movement. Break even of 65 this week. Yeah, I mean, Eli Katoa, if you see that Hughes is back in the side, I think he's probably the one though.
Yeah, I still think out of those guys, like Marju with a 48 break even doesn't get me very excited. It is probably still Hines out of those guys, but yeah, it changed a little bit. But do you really like paying whatever Eli Katoa's price is at the moment? Like it's a
No,
pretty penny.
that's the thing. Like the gun, like the cheapie sort of name themselves. You've got Tom Kant, you've got Dylan Egan, you've got obviously Garrett Shibasaki if you've got the cash there, and Jenkins as well. Like they all sort of pick themselves, but most people are going to be doing a downgrade from a midi, and they're going to have cash in the bank, and they're going to look at guys to upgrade. And there's not many upgrades that are really screaming out this week. So Marzu, I think, could definitely wait a week against the Bulldogs. Hines, like you can't go wrong with Nico Hines, but you're paying overs for him. 775, I think he's overs.
Yep. You're picking him for the matchup, and you've got to chuck an armband on him, I think, if you're bringing in Nico this week. BTs, is Hetherington to Bailey Hayward worth considering? Since Hetherington has started leaking some cash. Time to move off Jesse Arthurs to Jenkins. Mate, Hetherington to Bailey Hayward. What are your thoughts on that?
No, not for me. I mean, Bailey Hayward's been great in the time that he's been given in the squad, but Matt Burton is not far away. They have a game this week. They got a game next week. Sorry, they have a game this week. Game next week. They're buy in round 7, and then from there, you would imagine in round 8, Burton is back, and I just think there's better options to be looking at rather than Bailey Hayward personally.
Yep. No, I agree. And then I'm still on, especially not this week. Like Jesse Arthurs, yeah, he didn't score very well last week. But did you actually watch the game? Like anytime a winger, and we saw it with Jesse Arthurs in that last game, anytime a winger tried to go around out the outside, he was just dragged out. So yeah, the game was just very much played in the middle. And you know what? I think he actually did pretty well to get that 37 or whatever he got. I expected less. So yes, I do agree that Jenkins is a trade-in, but I don't think, and call me a Jesse Arthurs truther or whatever, he has far exceeded my expectations, but I think there's a bit more money to be made, and especially if Jesse Arthur's playing the Tigers this week.
Yeah, so like with Arthur's, I mean, I said this on last week's show, like people are just so fixated with selling at the sky-high price. Like you're playing a Tiger side who was very depleted with injuries. I think it's going to be a decent score put on. What's the worst that he scores? 40? So you lose 15K? I'd rather lose 15K and gamble on the matchup than sell early and watch him go for 80, 90.
Yep. 100%. And like
it's not like he's sitting there with a 110 break even, and if he gets a 30 or 40, you're going to lose 80K. You're going to lose maybe 15K at the worst, and then you can sell next week. That's fine. But yeah, for 15K, I'm very happy to gamble on the matchup this week. Yeah.
And like, we're not saying don't bring in Jenkins. I just think we're saying bring somebody else in for Jenkins. Yeah. Lorenzo, what is lots of 2RF chat tonight. What's the top gun 2RF? Is it Ola? Is that what we thought?
Yeah, probably. But like, don't hate Ellie. I think Ellie Katoa is like a good pod. Not pod, but like could be a good chatty. 731 with a break even of 72. Could very much hit that. I think he's running up against, he's on the right, so he'll be up against Ben Travojevic, which is a good matchup to be running at if you're Ellie Katoa, and especially if Jerome Hughes is back. So, yeah, I don't hate Ellie Katoa. You've got Hamole running up against Sean Bloor. So, yeah, two good matchups for both those guys. Probably I would lean towards Katoa just with the ownership being much lower than what it is with Hamole. I think Katoa's owned by something
31% owned.
Yeah, and Katoa's like 11%, so much lower ownership there.
James, what positions do you try to upgrade players to keepers first? Is it more buying keepers lowish regardless of position, or more draw dependent? Tough question.
Tough, yeah, very tough question. I think halfback is something that I want done. I just want Nico and Cleary because the drop off is massive to the next slot. Like I know that A-Ray's played well, I know that DCA's played well, but historically it's been Nico and it's been Cleary, and they're the two. Especially in those single position ones, it's much easier to upgrade guns. Fullback this year, it's a bit different because you've got people are targeting matchups more and more. That's the trend with fullbacks, and I'm okay with that. Center wings, we've seen there's so much value in going cheaper and just eventually upgrading as the season goes on. Our traditional keepers, Kaeliro, he's injured. Zach Lomax playing out of position. Val Holmes has not hit the ground running. So a lot of your traditional keepers in center wing haven't found their form yet. 2RF, we've seen so much value in the mid range. Corey Horsburgh, Alex Seyfarth, two guys that sort of come to mind that are doing the job. And front row forward, we should all have Tino. We should all have Haas. We should all have Terrell May. So maybe AFB. And hooker, there's no gun that's really firing. Like Harry Grant's averaging 50 points. And normally he's the standout hooker. So for me, it's halfback. Oh, and 5'8's just dead. Like do whatever you want at 5'8. I don't really care. For me, it's front and forward and it's halfback. They're the two that I'm just trying to lock down and go from there.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I do think I need to have that money available to have fullbacks worth a lot of money to get that captain, because I do still see that it's the high upside. I probably won't be, like, as great as Haas has been, I probably won't be touching the vice captain or the captain unless we get torrential rain on a front row forward again. As happy as I am to own them, I just think like that 100 is that upside where like you're not, like it's not out of the realm to see Ponga go score 150 or a Walsh or blokes like that, especially with Nico and Cleary there as well. So yeah, it is those guys and fullback. And even if I dip my toes in somebody a little bit cheaper, I make sure it's pretty readily available to go back and get guns if need be. So Sam Williams is asking, should I grab Riley Smith if I've still got Duffy at halfback?
Interesting.
Well, do you think this is a waste of a trade?
I'm not sure. Like, he's 234 with a break even of 14. I think we can wait. Like if he plays, I don't think he's playing 80. I think Dylan Walker's out of cover. If Riley Smith's playing 65 minutes and he scores 50, he's going to go up 30K. I'd pay 260 for that. I'd rather wait and get the info. Very, very lucky that, like he was bottom dollar. He's gone up 35K this year, but that's not much. Break even of 14. Like he's not a guy that's going to, look, if he comes out and gets 2 try assists and a try and he scores 100, fair play to him. For me, it's about the minutes, and I've still got Duffy myself. So I'm very much on the lookout for Riley Smith, and I've got some cash there to upgrade Duffy to Riley Smith if the minutes are there.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get out of hand the way that Tom Starling got out of hand for me. Early on in the year, I was holding Harry Grant. I was kept looking over at Tom Starling, didn't get him. Like Riley Smith just isn't going to skyrocket like that. So
no. But yeah, for me, it's just watching the role. I'm happy to pay a little bit more. So in your case, Sam, like I'm very happy to pay the extra 30K to know that the role's there rather than jump on early. Same with that's the reason why I'm not going a Thomas Kant. Like obviously great prospect for Supercoach. Role is so unknown. Riley Smith's the same. I don't want to use a boost this week and be stuck. I'm very happy just to wait a week on him.
No, sounds good. Donnie is looking at... he's asking whether he goes Arthurs, Garrick, or Robert Toya to Jenkins. Garrick frees up a hell of a lot of cash, and the draw gets tougher with no turbo. Arthurs may have just about peaked in price. If you had to pick out those 3, mate.
The one that he didn't mention, I'm pretty keen to sell Rob Toya. Ruben Garrick's will break even at 23. We know with goal kickers, their floor in the centre wing's about 40. So, look, unless Manly get shut out, which is possible with no turbo, but Lee Harper-White is a good replacement. I think the break even at 23 for Garrick is enough to hold. I'm okay with selling Garrick next week, especially when that big score does drop out. But for me, out of those, we've touched on Arthur's already, and the break even at 23 for Garrick would lead me to be a hold. So for that, I would point towards Toya as the sell for Jenkins.
Yep, that's where I sit as well. Is Skelton to Jenkins the move now, considering the injury cloud? Also, with Latrell at centre, is Walker no longer a buy next week for Brown. Do I just hold Brown? I suppose let's answer the first one. Is Skeltons to Jenkins a good move? I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing. I think so too. Latrell at centre, is Walker no longer? I'm assuming when you say Walker, I'm assuming you mean Cody.
Yeah.
I don't think he was ever really a buy. And for Dylan Brown, like we've come this far. I think with Moses on the horizon, I think you've come this far with Brown. You just write it out, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think you've taken the brunt and the bump. I think he's kind of back at value with maybe a little bit upside. I don't see him dropping too much. And like Cody Walker still had an 81 break even. So like I might have looked at him at early 400s if he come out and scored 40 again. And you can make money from somebody like a Metcalf, or an easier walk up to somebody from Duffy if he starts to cook. But we haven't seen this Latrell at centre thing. So Walker, 81 break even nothing really screams by. Brown at value, Skelton and Jenkins fine.
The last time that we saw Trell at centre was, 6 years ago when he was playing for the Chooks, and that's one of the best sides we've ever seen. It was an absolutely unreal side. Trell's got a break even of 89. Obviously, it doesn't matter this week, but he's 866k. No centre has gone ever close to being that price. So Trell is going to be a one of one. I also don't think him being at centre is a long-term thing. I think the minute that stretches back, which is probably in like 3 or 4 weeks, you would see Jack White go back to the left. You'd see Trell go back to fullback. You've got AJ to return. Macaulay Ravalawa played well. He's covering for Ty Munro as well. So that's probably your backline. Your first choice backline is probably Trell at fullback, Macaulay Ravalawa on the right, Alex Johnson on the left, with White on the left centre and Stretch on the left centre. And that just means Jai Gray comes out. Unfortunately for him, he's played well, but he's not Latrell Mitchell. And I think, they're using centre, 1, as injury cover, but 2, to get some K's back in Trell's legs and just get him up to match speed. But after that, the draw isn't the greatest for the Chooks. For the Bunnies, you've got the Roosters this week, which has always been a very, very tough game between both clubs. You got the Cowboys in Perth. Then you've got the Then you've got the Bulldogs, the Knights. Sorry, then you've got the Bulldogs, and then the bye, then the Storm, the Knights, Broncos, and then it gets pretty easy from there. Like after that, you've got the Tigers, the Warriors, the Raiders. That's when you'd be looking at getting Trell in if he's back playing fullback and has bottomed out somewhat in price after his stint at centre.
Awesome, mate. Jack Edmondson's again another skeleton question. But Ali Lauata hasn't come in. Friend and fan of the show. I know he's found his way into Braino's team. Jack, bit of a Braino truther, I reckon. Mate, if you had Ali or Gerald, what are you thinking there?
Probably trade Jarrell. I'm okay to keep Ali Leotawa, 41 break even when he comes back from the bye. Guy that gets through a fair bit of work. Did score 44 on the weekend as well, doing not a whole lot. So does have Melbourne at Amy Park in round 6, which is not great. After that, though, Broncos at Go Media, the Knights at APO, which I think is Auckland Park. It's definitely not McDonald Jones.
Yeah.
Then you got the Broncos. So then you got the Cowboys up at Magic Round, the Dragons, Dolphins, Raiders, Seagulls, Souths. I'm all over the place today. But pretty good draw after that Melbourne game in 6, and he could be a guy that is a top 10 centre wing. So he's a guy you could probably hold if he does continue to progress.
Cameron, how do we think Seyfarth will do against the Broncos this week? It's more of a start-sit question to do with Hubner or reserving someone like Tamale or Purdue, trying to get a try. Bit going on in this one. Who's Seyfarth running up against with the Broncos?
Whoever your left edge is, so Goss.
Yep.
I'm probably playing with all due respect.
I am playing Seyfarth at this stage. Hubner's had a couple of weeks off, so I'm not really touching him. And Hubner wasn't amazing. He was just a bottom dollar guy that was playing football at the moment. What was his scores like? 52 and 45. I'd rather take the upside. We just saw Seyfarth score 90. I'm going that way.
What's the worst? Even if the Tigers get pumped, what's the worst that Seyfarth gets? 43,
40?
44?
Yeah.
I'd rather that. And the upside of 9, I don't think 90's there, but we've seen that it's there. And if he does fall over for a try, then fantastic. There's no Luai as well, which is a key thing to think of. So it's pretty much all Galvin ball. So which is going to be Seyfarth's side. So I'm liking the Seyfarth play over, especially a guy like Hubner. I'm okay with playing Tamale. Probably not Purdue, but Tamale's a guy you could play if you wanted to chase him upside. But just with the floor, I like Seyfarth, especially up against Goss.
Yeah, and Purdue's running at the Panthers, so yeah, I'm a bit off him there. Bane Wennett, can we trust anyone coming off a leg injury? I don't think this is more of a question, but I think it's just a statement.
No, and that's why I guess I'm okay with selling Skelton. We do know that hamstrings have quite a high re-injury rate, so he's a guy that I'm okay to sell.
A-Train's got one. If you have 400k in the bank, is it worth boosting Iongi to a gun fullback, or is it better to save the boost and use it next week? He's already used 2. I think that I would still save the boost. I think Iongi is like a 1 attacking stat away from starting that cash generation again. Who's he playing this week? St. George. They've been pretty good defensively, but look, Iongi with a break even of 6, I wouldn't be jumping off it. And there's every chance that you're going Iongi to, say, a Reece Walsh with a 76 break even, and they do score the same or similar. So that's very much I sit with it.
I'm very much an advocate for holding Iongi until round 8, because then you can buy a very, very pretty Squadron quarter for probably like $650.
Yep. I do really like that. I brought in Iongi last week, so maybe I'm a touch jaded with holding them. But mate, we've answered all the questions. We've just had a couple come through recently on the question, so I'm just seeing if there's anything worth mentioning there. No, I think we've pretty much covered everything tonight, mate.
Amazing.
That was a nice quick one.
Yeah, nice, short and sharp. Under an hour. I'm very tired, so I'm keen for a short one tonight, which is great.
Mate, I have to get some buckets. I'm playing this. It's like a Filipino team we're playing, but then they've went and got like a really big 6'5" Italian backpacker that is like Italian LeBron, maybe a Gallinari, somebody like that. He's got that sort of build out there, and
Andrea Bagnati.
Yeah, exactly. And then like they've went down to the local courts and found the next biggest guy to come and play with them. It's actually pretty potent. You've got all these really quick little guards.
Are you playing Kai Soto tonight? Is he on that team?
No, he's not. The tall guys. Yeah, big fan of him. I was actually in New Zealand. I was talking to I was wearing an NBA jersey, and I was chatting to the guy that was doing the shot over jet at Queenstown, and he's like, "Mate, I've got something to show you." He shows a photo of him with Yao Ming. Yao Ming was hopped on the shot over jet. It was an awesome flex from him.
Did you ask Yao if he's available to play in Brisbane C grade on a Tuesday night?
Yeah, I wonder if he's available. Yeah, I know you're a big fan of the show. If you come down, I will pay your subs and your game fee tonight.
Subs. So. And then can you just set me pick and rolls, and I'll hit you in the post all night.
Yeah, sounds good. Look, I'm excited about that. Thanks for coming on. We'll be on tomorrow again for TLT. Probably nothing changing in the time. Sorry if that has messed you around with the times tonight, but yeah, Brano on hiatus. We're all over the shop. So,
no, not a worry. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Cheerio.